Welcome to 333, 337. I am Dr. Lori Benoit, and we are going to go ahead and get started with literacy strategies. So we're beginning to wrap up the course, and now we're wanting to look at some specific things we can do to integrate literacy strategies into our content areas. We want to examine a wide range of literacy strategies in this module to support your reading, our students' reading, writing, speaking, listening, and thinking skills. We want to present one strategy to classmates and provide suggestions for implementing it in different content areas. We want to identify a few strategies that we can implement in our own classes to support students' literacy skills and content knowledge. So our essential questions for this module are: how can teachers use specific strategies to scaffold students' development of literacy skills and content knowledge? Which strategies work best to support certain content areas and certain types of learning needs? Once again, we're going to take a look at this graphic. We've used it throughout the course. So we want to take a minute to start at the left here and reflect on that simple view of reading. As K-12 and secondary content teachers, we mostly focus on the language comprehension strands. However, we don't want to completely ignore the decoding strands. There are teacher moves that we can do to continue supporting and giving our students practice with those. And literacy strategies are one way, or a fundamental way, actually, that we can help our students arrive at higher levels of overall reading comprehension. So what are literacy strategies? These are techniques used to help students as they develop reading, writing, speaking, listening, and thinking skills. These strategies also support students as they gain proficiency in gaining specific content knowledge and skill. Literacy strategies provide teachers with strategic tools to support stronger student outcomes, assess student learning gaps, and provide effective scaffolding. So in all of the modules that we've seen up to this point, it has told us that explicit, direct instruction is important to support students' literacy skill development. And we've also learned that repeated practice and exposure to vocabulary, to building background knowledge, to understanding some of those literacy knowledge concepts about our content and our texts are important to help our students build their literacy skills. So literacy strategies give us the tools to be able to do that in our classes. There are two types of literacy strategies. For the purposes of our course, there are two types. There are culture strategies and there are skill strategies. So culture strategies focus on creating an atmosphere that positively frames reading philosophies, attitudes, practices, and contexts. Students in positive reading cultures are encouraged to pursue reading as a worthwhile skill. While culture is something, literacy culture is something that is often done at the school level, I don't want you to think that if your particular school or even your particular curriculum, your content area, doesn't have a strong culture of explicit literacy development, that is something that you can do. You can do it in your own classroom. You can do it in your own interactions with your students. And when you become more proficient at it, it's something that your other colleagues are interested in. And it begins to spread. It becomes cross-disciplinary, and it's something that we know that we all need to be doing a better job of supporting literacy, but sometimes we just feel alone in the work. And when we see that we're not, that those are the types of ideas and practices that grow. So don't be afraid to begin building a culture. Start in your own classroom and go out from there. Skill strategies focus on strengthening the reading competency so students can become autonomous readers, writers, and thinkers. Students are guided through explicit and implicit learning activities and assessments to strengthen their reading comprehension skills. So let's talk about culture strategies first of all. These are student-centered. These allow students to select their own text in part or in whole. So that's what culture strategies build in. Culture strategies promote reading through formal structures and programs that are accessible to all reading abilities and levels. They may be connected to a specific content area, but they may not. It may be something that is done sort of as extracurricular. It rewards, so culture strategies reward explicitly and implicitly readers through tangible and intangible recognitions. So, yes, these are formal ceremonies and clubs that they can be part of, but there are also implicit rewards, such as those discussions that we have with our students before and after class about what they're reading or what poetry they're into or the new song that they wrote. Those are all ways that we can support them. Culture strategies use data to guide reading growth plans for groups of students as well as individual students. Again, this is typically done at the school level, but don't be afraid to do this within your own class. Take a look at your students' reading levels. Take a look at their overall grades in some of their other classes, because we know that literacy is directly tied to stronger outcomes, and help them develop growth plans to improve their reading. Include students and stakeholders in developing literacy plans. So definitely students should be involved in creating their own plans, but don't be afraid to invite other stakeholders to participate as well. Encourage reading by providing physical and virtual supportive environments. So what this means is that in our physical settings, such as our physical classrooms, we want to ensure that we are providing a space and a time for students to engage in this type of reading. So again, if it's student selected, it can be something that you're actually tying into your own curriculum. So let's say that, once a quarter or once a semester, we're going to ask them to select their own text to read and present to the class. Well, that's going to be student selected. And it is something that will engage them because, it should be based on their own interests. That's about our content area. So it could be something like that. But it can also be something that is extra, like an extracurricular club, which we'll get to that in a moment. But we want to make sure that we've got the physical environment to support that. Within our own classes, we've created space and times in our lesson plans. We have given, sometimes it's actually providing them with some resources. So maybe working with the librarian to curate a group of books that would support your students, or a group of resources that would support your students through this, and having the librarian come and bring the little cart to your room and maybe review some of the options that students have. So that would be physically doing it. But then virtually is, maybe maintaining a page on your learning system where students are sharing their best reads, or posing questions. So almost creating like a little discussion forum for the students to be able to find text that they're interested in. This can also help parents see what students are reading and what they're interested in as well. And so that's another way to engage stakeholders. So the culture strategies, and I've kind of talked around them, but now I'm going to specifically name some. So we're talking about book, drama, and musicals clubs. Believe it or not, our students are sometimes just waiting for somebody to start something like this. We often do a really great job of supporting athletics. And in our local schools, we have really robust music programs. We also are growing in our theater and our drama interests. And so we know that when we give students an opportunity to pursue these things, they usually seize them. And book clubs, I'm happy to see, are actually making a comeback. They died off for a little while, but now they're making a comeback, and that's exciting. So a class newspaper or even a school newspaper. Um, Star testing and AR can be really important to help us look at data. These can be used in literacy PLCs. So talk to your literacy coach, your instructional coach, or even your principal, your administrator about, what is our school doing to support literacy? How can I get on board? How do we use data? Those are important conversations, and they can really make a difference in the lives of our students as we support their literacy development. So consider guest speakers that you could have to support literacy. So composers, sports writers, novelists, poets. So kind of think outside the box here when it comes to guest speakers. Tie it to a specific text. So, for example, one of the recent things I've seen is in our math classes, some of our math teachers are having local professionals, so engineers, come in and they are talking about their work and how they use math, different types of math every day in their work. And one of the things that students are having to do is they're having to pre-read a small article, a small piece of text about what type of engineer it is and what type of career and educational preparation it takes to be that kind of engineer. And then in small groups, before the guest arrives, they develop some questions for this guest speaker. So this is a wonderful way to make math come alive and make those real world connections for our students, while building those literacy skills of speaking, writing, reading, listening. Music composition club. These are popping up all over in our middle and high schools. Super fun. Kids are actually so talented. And this is a way that they are connecting those interests and some of their natural ear with the theory that supports them in learning how to become professional musicians. Poetry societies are something that are so rewarding for so many of our students who don't have other artistic outlets like that. And then parent engagement opportunities. So consider virtual and in-person opportunities. So library websites are important. Those literacy pages on your own learning modules are important. Literacy resource links, literacy nights, all of these things are a way to promote culture, a culture of literacy in our students. So now we're going to move on to some of those skill strategies. These are data-driven and research-based. They are, having a little trouble here. There we go. And research-based methods. They're used to identify and support reading comprehension needs. Teachers explicitly implement strategies to support students in gaining content knowledge and reading proficiency. Combined with other instructional strategies, such as modeling, small group learning, purposeful grouping, guided practice, and assessment, literacy skill strategies can really be that missing piece to make the difference in our learners' content knowledge. A variety of strategies are used to promote growth in reading fluency and reading comprehension. Optimal plans align vertically and horizontally to align strategies across districts, schools, grade levels, content areas, etc. So what this is saying is that we are working vertically. So for example, if I teach 8th grade English, I am having meetings with my high school cohorts and my 7th and 6th grade cohort teachers so that we are not reinventing the wheel every year. We can, select some strategies that we all agree on are helpful for our students, and they can begin learning them, in 6th and 7th grade, and we can simply build on them as they progress through high school. The other thing is aligning horizontally. What are some strategies that perhaps pair well with my discipline? So what are some strategies, for example, that we could use maybe in an entire grade level or even across a school district? So for example, the race strategy. Restate, answer, cite, explain has been one that has been very useful for our students. It works across content areas, it works across disciplines, and that's something that we see a lot of. Those types of strategies can help our students read, think, and then present their understandings. Imagine if we did that with other areas of literacy. So students and stakeholders are provided with in-person and virtual support to learn the strategies that best match certain learning needs. So some skill strategy examples are close reading, text annotation, graphic organizers, writing templates, sentence stems, read alouds, and discussion techniques. So these are sort of some overriding names for these, but there are actually, even within these, there are a lot of sub strategies that are even more specific. So specific types of text annotation, specific types of graphic organizers, specific types of writing templates, etc. And you'll have an opportunity to explore that a little bit more in our activity that we do this week. So our final thoughts are about supporting students overall. Their literacy skills and content knowledge require us as teachers to impact the culture and implement specific strategies. Both culture strategies and skill strategies are necessary to promote student growth. We know that our students not only have those academic needs, but they have social and emotional needs as well. We need to make sure that culture and skills are tapping all of those needs. We teach the whole child, not just their academic side. Instructional decisions that use literacy strategies are proven to lead to higher learning in all content areas for all students. So many times I hear students that teachers that don't think of themselves or their content areas as being literacy teachers or literacy supporters as saying, I don't have time for that. Research shows us that when we make time, we actually lead to higher gains. Our students lead to higher gains. So it's worth reconsidering how you were taught this content and how you go on to teach the content that you're teaching. Teachers should research specific literacy strategies that best match the needs of their students and the text demands of their content areas. So the activity that we do this week is actually going to give you an opportunity to do that. You're going to use the resources provided on Moodle to explore the different types of literacy strategies. So let me just show you right here. You're going to be looking where it says literacy strategies. And when you do that, it's going to actually open a folder that has lots of strategies, lots and lots and lots. Okay. If none of these appeals to you, you are welcome, of course, to provide your own. Select one that appeals to your teaching style or your content area. And again, if you go through those and you're like, none of these do, but I've seen something else used, I would like to discuss it, feel free. Sign up for the strategy that you wish to present using this form. So there is a form, it's hot linked here, but it's also provided on Moodle. And you simply would provide your name, the strategy, and then I'd like for you to put the date and time that you sign up. Make sure that you read up here about first come, first serve, and just helping us keep track. Make sure that you don't pick a strategy that's close to someone else. So for example, if someone picks fishbowl, it's so close to what Socratic circles are. Please don't do Socratic circles because they might actually even discuss Socratic circles as a common type when they do fishbowl. So keep that in mind. Try not to pick something that's too similar. And of course, it's first come, first serve. So you'd want to sign up in a timely manner. You're going to use resources on Moodle and or online resources to design a 5 to 10 slide presentation that does the following. So there's going to be a title slide, provide an overview of the strategy, tips for implementing it, how to plan to use it, other content areas that could use it, how the strategy could promote student learning or provide assessment data, and strategies that are similar, and then provide a conclusion. If you use any research, please use APA format and just put it in a references slide at the very end so that your peers can go and look that up if they want to learn more about it. Each one of these bullet points can actually be its own slide. So this is not a really formal presentation. It's intended to be informal. Of course, you want to watch your presentation, grammar, mechanics, etc. But it doesn't have, it's brief. It doesn't have to be detailed or long. And if you actually pick one of the ones that is here in this PDF, a lot of it is actually going to be done for you. So you can see that it actually provides a lot of this in the PDF for you. And you could, of course, look up more online. Upload the slide deck to the discussion board. Double check to make sure it's accessible to all students. In the subject line, you want to type the name of your strategy. So in the discussion board, you're going to just want to use that advanced feature to upload it. We do not want links. We never, ever, ever want links here. I'll put it here for you again. But when you're adding a discussion topic, of course, in the subject line, you would put the title of whatever your strategy is so that readers can know about it. You'll have to type a little bit of something here because it won't accept it without it. But if you click this advanced option, this allows you to upload a PowerPoint slide. If you use a Google slide, you need to download it to your device before you put it, upload it here. If you use a Google slide, you typically can put the link and it's going to work, but I recommend that you do it both ways. Go ahead and put the link, but then also download it and then upload it here as well. You can download it as a PowerPoint version or a PDF version, and you can do it that way. Either way is fine. What I'm saying here, I'm trying to caution you, please do not put a link directly from your OneDrive or your Google, because many times those permissions are not set correctly. And when we go to try to watch it, we can't. And that will not be a valid excuse for your work not submitted on time in a format that's accessible for everybody. So please double check that. View all of the presentations. So you're going to post by a certain time, and that's going to be on the discussion board, and then you're going to respond. So I'd like for you to view all of them. You can learn a lot by them, and then pick one peer who has not had a reply yet and reply to that peer. Responses should include comments on the effectiveness of implementing the strategy in your content area, other ideas for implementation, your experience using the strategy. Maybe you've used it as a student, or maybe you've seen another teacher use it, connections to other instructional activities, etc. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope that this activity helps you learn about more specific strategies that you can integrate into your content area to support students' literacy skills and their content acquisition. Have a great time exploring literacy strategies.